Okay, so let's have a look at teaching pitch to learners. So first of all, you have to tell them that pitch refers to how low or how high a note is. Remember, you assume they don't know anything about music, and then you're going to get the best results. Then when it gets to the staff, please remember to actually tell them that the staff consists of 5 lines and 4 spaces, which you count from the bottom. Now, when you teach Clefs, this is the one place where you can make it interesting for the kids. And if you teach the treble clef, you have to say, you need to explain to them why you have something like the treble clef. Why don't you just have another symbol that you use instead of the one that we are using? So let's have a look at it when we actually make it. So like you know, the printed ones are a bit different from what we draw. The important thing when you teach them how to draw a clef, a treble clef, is that you're going to start on the second line. You're going to go up, touch the third line, go down, cross at the top, and cross on the top line, and then it goes down like that. Yeah, I can see it's a bit skew from where I'm standing. From my perspective, it actually looks quite straight, but I can see in the mirror that it's not that straight. Let's quickly do another one. Then it might be a bit better. Is that better? Yeah, that's better. Okay, so I know some of you you would have been taught that you start over there and then you go up. That's fine in detail. You can do there whatever you like. But I want you guys to tell them what it's all about. It emphasizes the G line. Okay, so the G line obviously is the second line and it touches it 4 times. Okay, so the actual clef emphasizes the second line. Okay, I think there are some of you that don't even know this. And then another thing is that, like back in the days, like in the Renaissance, in the Middle Ages, somewhere around there, their G's actually looked like this. Well, sort of. So if you have a look at the cursive writing G, can you see the similarity between the G and the G clef? Okay, so that is how their G's looked approximately. Then when it gets to, okay, I don't need to erase that, that's fine. When it gets to teaching the bass clef, again, show them why it looks the way it does. So the bass clef, like you know, starts on the 4th line and it goes like a ear, not a question mark. So just make the learners aware of that. It's more like an ear than a question mark. Then you have 2 dots on either side of your 4th line. Why? Why not maybe the middle line? Because it emphasizes your 4th line. Why? Because it's the F line. Now, I always bring in a little bit of a lie there for the kids, but I would tell them that I would say, I don't know how their Fs looked like in the Renaissance, but you can imagine, you know, if you think of a cursive writing F, you can sort of see the similarity there. Okay, so then they actually understand why they need to do this. Then when it get to your movable C clef, and of course you have that in grade 11 and in grade 12. The first one that we introduced is the alto clef. So this is how the proper one looks like, you know. And I have to be honest, I actually drew it on the board beforehand because I never drew it like that. So it came out actually quite nicely. But this is the longer way to, the more complicated way to draw it. And I think the one that you guys use also looks more like this. Okay, so 2 lines on the side, and then it's almost like a K, emphasizing the middle line in this case. So that is the alto clef, like you know. And we also know that this middle part of it is then where your middle C is. Then with the tenor clef, we basically just move it up one line, and then that is where your middle C is going to be. So what I normally do when I teach this is, first of all, I do not use rhymes. Okay, I find them confusing, especially when you get to the alto, the tenor clef. You have all these rhymes, you start to mix them up. Okay, so I don't use that method. What I normally do is I just draw a circle on the board, and I would say, okay, so our first letter name obviously is A. Our music alphabet goes from A to G, so then I would just write out all the letter names all the way, blah, 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 to G. And then when we get to G, we start all over at A again. Okay, so that is what I do. Remember to tell them to use capital letters and always write the letter names below the staff. Okay, so please remember to do that when you teach. Okay, so let's just quickly go back to the movable C clefs. Okay, so movable C, because C is moving to whatever place you move the clef to. So what I do when it gets to that is I tell them, remember that like when we were doing the note in the treble clef, there is your C. So when it's in the alto clef, it's literally just like in moving one pitch down, okay? But at the same time, I tell them, this is just to help you understand and remember the letter names. That is not your actual, this is middle C. It's not the C in the treble clef. So please just, if you do that, remember to tell them that. Okay, and then likewise here, I would tell them, think of C in the treble clef, and now you just move it one step up, and then there is your C. Again, tell them, this is middle C, it's just a way to learn the notes. It's not the same as that C pitch. Okay, and then the next thing that you can do when it gets to explaining your clefs and middle C in particular is I have something that looks like this. I don't have a big one that I can put on the board, but you'll see it in my theory books as well. I'm just going to show you guys like this. So you can see that I've demonstrated middle C in the treble clef, in the alto clef, in the tenor clef, and in the bass clef. So you can see the C, it's the same note, it's just notated differently in the various clefs. Okay, so I think that is quite a useful way to do it. Then let's quickly have a look at letter names. Always tell the kids, okay, so like I already said, capital letters below the staff. Then enforce it, reinforce it. First, look at the clef. First, look at the clef before you write a letter name. Then another thing is what you can do when you teach them like from scratch. So say you have creative arts in grade 8, is to teach them the letter names by actually writing them on the staff. So I know this is not right, okay? But for them, remember, they are lost. You are teaching them how it works, okay? So just to go and put a couple of, circles or whatever you want to call it on the staff doesn't really mean anything to them. Okay, so now they can see, oh, okay, so that is the E, that is the F, that's the G. And where do we start then? Go back to A. Okay, you'll have to do this a couple of times and be patient there with your learners. Okay, and then again, tell them, we don't really do this. Shake your head, okay? We don't really do it like this in real music. This is just for you to understand the pitches. Okay, important, play it for the kids on the piano. Okay, they can have little pianos, and as you play, you can show them, where you are starting, and tell them they need to play it on their little piano as you are playing the real piano. Okay, depending on the classroom that you're in. Maybe they all have keyboards in front of them, which will obviously make it a lot easier. Okay, on to ledger lines. So if you've been teaching, I'm sure you know that they really get confused when it gets to they're fine with the treble clef, the bass clef, but the moment you put them together, they really get confused. Okay, the reason being is that if you look at this, so let's just quickly get some space here now. Oh, and by the way, this is now just a thing on a different note. As I am erasing this, you are going to laugh, but this is true. Okay, when you are erasing, you go up and down. Okay, because when you're doing this, your whole body shakes and kids laugh at you. Okay, so just a small thing there that I actually also learned from a very experienced teacher. Okay, and yeah, so let's just quickly see. So the confusing part here is that the two staves are apart. Okay, and that confuses them. They don't understand that you just have 3 notes between the two staves. So what I do, again, remember, it's all about letting them understand it. You tell them, okay, so by now we've done the notes in the 2 clefs, okay, so they already know that is A. Okay, then I say, then you have B, then you have C, then you have D. Okay, A, B, C, D. That makes sense to them. Then what I also do is I write it out on a piece of paper, but you also have this in your theory books. I didn't bring this with now, but basically I write these notes out. Let me just put this, yeah, okay. I write them out in the bass clef, so obviously you would have a ledger line there without them being able to see the treble clef staff. And then what I do is I do that, okay? So obviously that would be hanging onto a ledger line there, okay? So, and so I would have it on the one paper and the one clef, and then just at the back, I would have the other one. So just to give you an idea, I did this. Again, make it fun, okay? So I've got this paper. Then I would tell them, okay, let's just quickly count backwards. So we're going to have E, we have D, we have C, we have P, we have A. Okay, they can work it out. Okay, and then I go to, I would lower it, I would hide it from them, I would turn it around, and then I would give them the bass clef, again working out the letter names there. And then I say, look here, magic is going to happen right now, okay? And then I turn and you make it fun, okay? Remember, you make it fun for them. So I can, look at this magic, guys. How awesome is that, okay? And then they can see, oh, okay, the E that we just worked out here is the same as the first line in the treble clef. And also the top line in the bass clef is the same as that A over there. Okay, so make it fun for them. And like you can also see here, the staves are moved closer together. I've got an example, and it's also in my theory book, where you can see how closely I've moved the staves, but they can see there are really just 3 pitches in between. And then you tell them the truth. You know, the reason why we move the staves further apart is really to make it easier to read. And when we go into the ledger lines and spaces in the one clef, that we're not going to basically collide with the other clef, or the other staff rather. Okay, let me just see if that is all I wanted to say there. Okay, let me just put this down. Oh yeah, and then just about the piano. Remember, the piano works best when it gets to demonstration purposes. It gives you a very clear visual image of the notes. Okay, so you always use a piano when it gets to explaining letter names, but I'm sure you already do that. Then let's see. Okay, next thing is accidentals and enharmonic change. So remember, you have to tell them everything. They don't know anything. You need to show them where to actually place the accidentals. And just going back to writing notes, remember, you have to tell them the notes need to be written between the lines or on the line. The line needs to be in the middle of the note, because if you're not going to tell them that, you are going to get funny notes that look like that. Okay, so you have to tell them these things. Okay, so placement, remember, if I can just do this here, let's go on to the treble clef staff here. Okay, so you have to show them. Okay, guys, so let's quickly have a look at our accidental. So you have, say, for example, an A, and then the natural, I always tell them it's like a upside, it's a 7 and an upside down 7 that's combined. Of course, the middle part, the block part, needs to be in the same space or on the same line as the note head. You have to tell that to them. Okay, otherwise they're going to put it all over the place. You also have to say that, okay, this is called A natural. Okay, but we say A natural, but we write natural A. Okay, tell them these things. Then if we go to the other accidental, so of course we have A, and then a semitone down, again show it to them on the piano. You're going to have a flat, okay? Again, same thing, the tummy of the flat is on the same line, same space as the note head. And then, of course, we have your A double flat, which is another semitone down. When it gets to letter names, you have to tell them this. So they're going to say, oh, okay, but A double flat is G. Yes, true. Enharmonically, it is G. But when it gets to letter names, you have to state the letter, okay? Letter name. Okay, so that's why it's A double flat. It's not a G. So remember to tell them that. Okay, and when we go now to the sharp side, okay, so middle of the sharp must be in the same space or on the same line as the note head, and then double sharp. I truly hope that you guys know this by now, but you studied music, so you should know this. So it's not two sharps. It's only with a flat that you have literally a double flat. Okay. Then when it gets to identifying notes, so please write the letter names of the circled notes. Okay. Couple of things to remind them of. Okay, so first of all, first look at your clef, look at your key signature. Okay, then if it's somewhere in the bar, pay attention to any accidentals that's been used in that bar. And when it gets to ties, remember 2 tied notes. So let us quickly change the C into a C sharp. So if we're going to do that, remember, the tie means that we are going to also sharpen this C. When it's across bar lines, same thing applies. So this is still going to be C sharp. So examiners like to actually do this, where they would say, give the letter name of this note. So it looks like a C, but because it's tied, it's actually a C sharp. Okay, so always point that out to them. Another thing that they need to know is that, sorry, if you work with a system in other words, different staves, like with ensemble. Then if you have a natural or any other accidental in one of the staves, it only applies to that particular stave. If the composer wants you to do it in one of the or on one of the other staves, you would actually indicate it. Okay, so A sharp here and A here, it's not the same note. That's an A sharp on that staff, and here it's just a normal A. Okay, and I think that is basically it when it gets to the pitches. When it gets to assessment, use different ways to actually ask them and test their knowledge on pitches. And then just one last thing that I want to tell you guys when it gets to writing music and creating examples, say in Finale or in Sibelius, guys, make sure the staff sizes are correct. Please don't drag them out like this, that you've got these thin little treble clefs, or drag them, but you've got these fat notes and clefs, okay? It needs to be correct, okay? I've seen it so often that people do that. It really doesn't look nice. Okay, and I think that basically covers pitches.